Good morning and good afternoon to everyone to TCN's webinar. And today we're going to be discussing how to navigate your transition to TCN. Let's go ahead and dive into today's agenda. So today, we'll do some kickoff and introductions, and we're going to also take a look at the current Finvi and TCN integration, as well as how TCN compliance and pool builds work together. We'll take everyone through the demo of how it all works, and then at the end, we'll open it up for Q&A. But if there are questions throughout the webinar, please add them to the chat window and we will get to them. So in this webinar, we do aim to address the specific and common concerns and challenges surrounding compliance, as well as what's available in the integrated solution with TCN and Finvi, like automating those processes with rule building and more. So today, let's just introduce our speakers today. So our presenters today for today's webinar is first Jim DeCecco, who is over the site reliability and operations here at TCN and brings a wealth of knowledge with 21 years of experience in the industry. Jim primarily focuses on collaborating with integration partners, clients, and vendors. He has taken the lead on several integration projects, including those with TCN's AI bot and as well as agent monitoring solutions. Jim's passion for focusing on solving complex problems both in and out of work makes him a great asset to TCN's team. Next, we're also pleased to have Scott Miller, solutions architect at Finvi, with over 18 years of experience in the revenue cycle industry. Scott's principal responsibilities include several critical areas, working with Finvi's leadership team to ensure a seamless onboarding process and ongoing success for their clients, in addition to collaborating with industry leaders to identify emerging trends in process and technology. He also has experience in been a paramount part of integrating the TCN solution into Fax, Artiva RM, Artiva HCX, alongside the rest of the TCN team. So we are so excited and privileged to have Scott join us again, and as well as Jim join us the first time in one of these Finvi webinars. And we're really excited to have them on the respective topic, as they are the topic experts on today's compliance conversation. We are excited for what we have in store for you. Really, before we get, and I pass the time over to Jim and Scott, I wanted to just touch on, this was some comments. We had some comments previously on how the migration is going generally with Finvi and TCN. So far we have 71 active organizations that have switched to TCN operator, and there's ongoing implementations going right now. So if you are thinking about it, or have questions, please reach out to a Finvi CSM or as well as to your TCN account manager, and we can start those conversations now. It is a very seamless experience, and we've built something very special and unique for the Finvi clients in helping them migrate over to the TCN communications platform. And it also equates to collectively to over 21.5 million calls since we've started, or just several months ago, collectively 21.5 million calls. So that's something that we're really proud of, and kind of shows the robustness of the platform, and as well as the integration and the work that not only Jim and Scott, but as well as countless others behind the scenes to make this work. So with that out of the way, I really want to also chat a little bit about and recap how the integration is working, and kind of some high level capabilities from our perspective, and kind of what you can experience and what you can expect from a integrations standpoint. So currently, from the Finvi and TCN side, you can create and manage all your TCN campaigns. There is built-in reporting functionality, and we actually did a webinar on this just 2 weeks ago, and that is also available. It's been shared as well. And if you have questions on that, we can share that webinar with you as well. but the increased capabilities around the reporting and being able to have additional insight into your organization and what's happening on the agent side, and as well as on the collection side, and as well as additional functionality around the IVR and what that looks like from a perspective of increasing visibility in your queues, and as well as functionality outside of just the simple IVR. Today we're going to be talking about compliance and as well as suppression. This is a very strong point to the integration. Both Finvi and TCN have found great success in building tooling around compliance, and we want to make sure that is an important part to your organization, and as well as the solutions that you're going to use. Click to call is available in the integration, so agents are able to utilize the click to call functionality directly within the Finvi platform, and any other solutions. This is a very important part, that all the other TCN features and solutions that are available within the operator platform on the TCN side are also available via the integration. So it's a very robust integration. We're really excited, as I mentioned before. But with that, I will leave it at that. And if there's further questions on the integration, please reach out to your account manager, and we can help get the process rolling. And if you have further questions about, maybe you've already started the process, but if you have further questions, we can also address those as well. With that, I'm going to hand the time over to Scott. So Scott, and then as well as Jim. So I'll let you guys take it away. And again, if there's questions, please post those and we will get to those. But Scott, take it away.
Yeah. Well, good afternoon or good morning to everyone. This webinar here talking about compliance has been really a big topic in almost all the implementations that we've done up to this point. We definitely understand that compliance is mission critical for all the agencies that we support, and the folks that we've been talking to have been bringing this up and helping us through it up to this point. We've had extensive conversations with TCN and the clients to kind of make sure that we walk through what this compliance landscape looks like in the ground apps and how those translate over to TCN's natural language compliance. And so there's been a lot of work done on that, and I'm excited for you guys to see that output. You know, really, we have two different types or categories of restrictions in the ground apps. We have the collection restrictions, and then we have restriction services, and you can kind of see that here. We've gone through both of them, uh, working collaboratively with TCN. But I thought it would just be good just to talk about them at a high level, and then, as I pass it on to Jim, he can talk about it at more of a technical level and how these translate. But the first one here is collection restrictions. So these are the more client configurable areas that you can tailor to your specific business rules. Um, Call frequency limits, phone types, um, dialing time windows, recording consent, place of employment restrictions, all those things are examples of collection restrictions that are in the system. Like I said, these are configurable, that each agency can configure those to their specific business needs. All of these are done, they're evaluated at both pool build time. So that pool build that happens in your ground app, whether that's Fax or Artiva, uh, they evaluate these collection restrictions. So that is still happening even with the integration. They are also evaluated during dial time. That is the piece, um, as Jim starts to go through things, the dial time checks will then transition over to TCN. But again, for collection restrictions, those happen at both pool build time and dial time. So you get a blend of the Finvi functionality and the TCN functionality with those. The restriction services, these are more system coded regulatory mandates that are out there. And so you see there like the 7 and 7 and the 1 and 7, uh, legal call expectations, prohibited dialing times. Those types of things are at dial time, so they're not necessarily at pool build time. So those we've focused with TCN on, what are those rules? We've outputted them from ground apps, and we've worked with folks like Jim on how do we make sure that those are covered as well within uh, the natural language compliance. So just to summarize here, we're really focusing these implementations, taking a special look at compliance and making sure that we're taking the compliance that's set up in the ground app and making sure that that's translated for the dial time checks over to TCN. And I hope that as Jim goes through this and shows you what they built, that you can see that there's been a lot of work done for this, and that we are taking it really serious because we know that it is mission critical for y'all. So with that, Jim, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you, Scott. All right. So as Scott kind of talked about, we definitely collaborated. Scott and team were able to get us over basically the rules from the ground apps and how they're being used, and we worked together to make sure that we were able to confirm and verify that we can create them on the TCN side using the TCN natural language compliance suite. um, Basically, after a handful of discussions, we developed a default rule set that we can put in place on every customer that should handle the majority of those rules. It will not handle all of every specific rule. We have other tools for that. But this is kind of like the jumping off point for compliance, so that we know that we have everything covered. From the 7 and 7 rule, from the 1 and 7 RPC rule, things like that. We also have a FinVi scrub list. So as things get taken out of pools, they get thrown over to the TCN scrub list, and therefore they won't be dialed the rest of the day. We also support emergency zip list and emergency phone scrubs. This way, if there's any type of natural disaster and you want to block out a handful of zip codes in an area, that is easily supported in the natural language compliance suite. And then, as well as being able to utilize compliance rules, different rule sets for different campaign types. One of the examples is maybe unattended, you may have different rules, and we completely support that. You can have multiple rule sets. I'm going to share my screen here in a second, and I'm going to just show you kind of what those rule sets look like, what we can do with them, and kind of walk through building some rules out as well. So let me go ahead and get that screen shared. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Okay. So here I am on one of my demo accounts. I am at the natural language compliance landing page. This is under compliance and data management from the menu. When we come in here, we have all of the rules that are created. In this case, we have a default Finvi rule set. This covers default DNC scrubs. This covers the default 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. dialing rule. This handles those emergency scrub lists that I spoke about, one for zip, one for phone. This handles the Finvi scrub list. And it also handles the 7 and 7 rule, 3 and 7, 7 and 7. These are all modified. And then the 1 and 7 using RPC data and entity ID. So these are the default ones. If there are anything that is needed, say you have some different rules that you prefer to run that are specific to your book of business, we have the list that Scott has provided to us, him and his team. And basically, we went through and we have all of the descriptions and the restriction key names. and we can go in here and we can easily pull out any type of rules that we want and see how they would be created on the TCN side. So let me get a good one here. Actually, let me do it by state. It'll probably show a lot better if I just go in and do the state. All and select all, select all. Here we go. Perfect. So say, I don't know, we'll select Indiana here, clear. Now we have all of the rules that can be created. We can do any type of frequency rules. They're all shown here, values that have been pulled. We can create RPC rules, dial times, any type of unattended calls. Say we don't want to make unattended calls. We have a rule right here that we're able to place into that rule set. These rules are available to any of the TCN account team. So if you have any questions about rules that you may, you also on all the pages on TCN, there is a learning center, and you can learn about any of the rules, how to wealth of information here on the Learning Center. The account team is there to support, help, walk through, create whatever is needed. If there's any questions about compliance, they are able to answer any of those. So let's kind of go in and just see what creating a new rule would look like. So in this case, let's just say we want to deny calls in New Jersey. So as we start typing, the wizard comes in and it starts to kind of give you that autocomplete. You can kind of tab through it. It gives you the options of what you have: calls, emails, SMS. We have some other options here. So we can do calling times, which is your after and before. We can check against previous results and previous call types. We're also able to do holidays. So there is a whole holiday map in here. You can kind of go in and select something like United States and name, and we can do like Halloween. And then that will use the calendar to have no calls go out in the United States on Halloween. We're also able to do any type of, frequency. So say we wanted to do deny outbound calls in, let's say we can do area code, country, postal service, do country, United States, we'll do New Jersey. And we can then do more than, I don't know, 10 times in 7 days. Say we're going to call them a lot more. So now we've just created a rule that restricts calls more than 10 times in 7 days in the state of New Jersey. If you wanted to say, create a whole new rule set, one of the things that I really like about our natural language compliance suite is kind of how dynamic it is. It allows you to customize things based off of a special project, let's say, or maybe you get a new book of business or a special client request. Say you have a rule set that you like, and you're like, oh, okay, I like this default rule that I have, but I needed to do it for, my special project. So gym project, and now we can go ahead and create more rules to it. Deny all calls, before 11 a.m. And then we can just create all these new rules. It's a special project that these rules that then be able to be set at a broadcast level on TCN, or even through kind of our LMS process, you're able to reference those. So you're able to kind of customize all of these different rule sets, have them be available for different projects that you're running, different broadcast types, different customers. It's really flexible. And there's a lot of information. So, I mean, I would absolutely suggest just checking out on the Learning Center the different rule types. We can reference all sorts of different type of scrub lists, frequency, time calling, holidays, special day handling, things like that. So that's all available currently in the TCN natural language compliance. That is all done and checked at time of call. So any of these rules that you put in, they are checked as the call is being initiated, it will check to make sure whether or not that call passes those rules, and then it will either allow or it'll deny those calls. And all of that is reported on as well through the TCN application.
Thank you, Jim. Very, very thorough, and hopefully you all saw the power of the integration and as well as the rule sets that we're able to build. We had a couple of questions come in. First question is, how does an account populate into its scrub list, and how often is that list sent or updated?
Yep, I can take that one. So from the Finvi perspective, an account will go into that scrub list when the account is pulled out of a pool or work that day. So if you got an inbound call like you do today, and an account was scheduled for an outbound, it gets pulled out of the pool today. So you're not making that outbound. That same thing will happen with the TCN integration. It will put the account in that scrub list, and that scrub list will get sent to TCN. It's a near real time send, so it's not you don't have to worry about it only getting sent once or twice during the day. It will update almost immediately. Like I said, near real time. Really anything that pulls an account out of a pool will go on the scrub list. So if you run a tactic over accounts, or you change the status, or you change the follow-up date, all those things will remove the account from the pool in Artiva, and will remove the account from the campaign in TCN.
Another question, and I'm not sure who this will be directed to, but in the Finvi rule set regarding the 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., what is that based on, consumer state or the area code being dialed?
Yep, that is a great question. So one thing I didn't actually talk about was that we have the ability to work off of both zip code and area code. So if the zip code is present, we're able to use the most restrictive time. So if a zip code is on the West Coast, the phone number is on the East Coast, we won't call it too early for the West Coast, and we won't call it too late for the East Coast. So it really depends on what's in the actual data that we're looking against. If there is no zip code or no state data, then it will only use the area code in that case, because that's the only thing we have to work with. But the more information we work with, the more we're able to really restrict that calling down to the safest time available.
Thank you, Jim. Hopefully that answered your question from the audience there. We have a couple other questions here. Does TCN RPC data come from the ground app, or does it come from somewhere else?
Yeah, I can take that too. So we are getting the RPC data over from the ground app. It is being saved on the call information. So anybody that's familiar with the TCN application is already existing. We have our agent responses, and they're stored based off of a call. That is coming over back from the ground app, and that is being placed into those agent responses data set. Therefore, it is able to be used in compliance. In that default rule that I showed off, we actually were referencing the RPC data, and we would check against that and scrub if there was an RPC in the last 7 days.
Another question here coming in. Is there a way to distinguish what type of phone is dialed? I think they're referring to cell phone, but can maybe you guys explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can probably take that too. And Scott, you can add anything if I miss anything here. So as long as the phone type is coming over from the ground app, and I've seen it come over a handful of ways. One is in its own column, labeled, phone type 1, and it's, POE, residential, or mobile. I've also seen in some cases it's actually been like phone dot, mobile 1. So in either of those two cases, we are able to identify the phone types. We are able to write rules specifically off of the phone type as well. So we could limit calls to mobile one time, in 3 days. And it would basically handle that rule while letting calls go out to residential or something like that, and not being scrubbed based off of that specific rule.
All right. Thank you, Jim. I think we just had one last question. If I heard Scott correctly, an account action taken in Artiva, example status change, will now remove this account from the campaign in TCN when did this start?
It's been like that since the beginning of the integration. I mean, it will, when a status code changed on the account, it should remove the account from the pool in the ground app, and then we'll also remove it from the TCN scrub list. Now, we've had some clients that have said that you don't want to bounce it off the scrub list that Finvi's sending, and there were other scrub lists you wanted to use. And so TCN does have the ability to say, okay, I'm not going to look at the scrub list, and I'm going to, you know, configure to what you're needing. So if you're not seeing that today, there's a chance that you're not looking at the scrub list for that. And that would have been, I believe that default, we look at it, and then if there's something that comes up during the implementation that you wanted updated, that's when we kind of disable that piece. So that could be what you're seeing.
Yep, and
Thank you.
I just like to add that if that is a concern and it's not happening, absolutely reach out to the TCN account team on that. You know, like Scott said, it could have been something that was removed in the initial setup, or it could be just maybe there was a disconnect somewhere, and maybe it's currently not sitting there on the rule set to be able to look against that scrub list if that's what's needed. So I would definitely reach out to your account team and just have them take a look, and they might be able to solve it very quickly.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Jim. I think that's all the questions, and we really do appreciate everybody joining us today to talk about more about the implementation process with TCN and Finvi, and as well as these compliance questions. I think they're very valuable, and they help a lot, not only us understand kind of the challenges you're going through, but as well as others that are here listening as well. So thanks again to everybody. And as part of this series with these Finvi TCN webinars, we are going to be doing another one in a few weeks. So be on the lookout for additional information on another TCN Finvi webinar. We're going to be focusing on AI and some of the agent tooling around AI and what's available via the integration, and as well as within the TCN operator applications. And again, thanks everybody, and have a great rest of your day.